Now, big tech and the role it plays in our lives is set to be one of the themes of Scott Morrison's campaigns as we head into the federal election season. He's got a new inquiry starting this month and it will report in February. It will examine how the tech giants amplify toxic and extreme material on their social platforms for profit. It's also going to look at whether big tech is doing enough to keep children safe online. I know that's something that you all have a view about. It comes after the Facebook whistleblower Frances Haugen shed light on just how the company puts profits ahead of people, how it undermines democracy, and how it knowingly harms its users by optimising extreme content. Those were her claims. She made public Facebook files, which also exposed how Instagram was causing body image anxiety among teenagers, and the fact that Instagram knew this. Federal MP Lucy Wicks will chair this inquiry and she joins me now. Lucy, thank you very much for your time. Do you think social media giants are doing enough to protect the mental health of Australians, particularly young people who use their platforms?
I think we need to do all we can to ensure that young Australians, in fact all Australians, are kept safe online and are not harmed when using platforms like social media. It's such an important, critical part of how we communicate these days. And yet, unfortunately, almost everybody has a story or knows somebody with a story about how they've experienced online bullying, intimidation, toxic abuse. This is not okay, particularly in 2021. And so I think this inquiry is a very good way to begin to look at these things to make sure that we do have the right platform, the right content, the right policy settings in place to keep Australians safe online.
Lucy, are you concerned that social media platforms have been putting profits ahead of the safety of children?
I'm very concerned when I see any platform that, perhaps potentially takes advantage of its ability to be able to gain so many users in such a ubiquitous way, but without having the right policy settings in place. Absolutely, that's one of the things I think it's appropriate that this committee looks into. But this issue of online safety, particularly using social media, particularly given the users, the age of Australians are getting younger and younger. All of us are now using social media and online platforms to communicate, particularly, during the COVID-19 lockdowns, we saw this become, our way of being able to communicate. Instead of in the playground or the classroom or the workplace, it was online. So it's incredibly important, and it's an issue that's become incredibly important to parents, to grandparents, to young kids. I had some young kids outside my front gate a couple of weeks ago telling me, hey, what are we going to do about this? Because it's a really important issue for us. So this is a really great platform, the inquiry, to be able to give all Australians their chance to have a say about what we might need to do to keep people safe.
So you've said that the inquiry will look at how the tech giants are complying with the new Online Safety Act and whether more does need to be done in this space. Have you got an idea of what else you are considering implementing that you would like to put to some of the stakeholders, before introducing the legislation?
Well, certainly the Online Safety Act was passed in June of this year and it's commencing next month. And that is, that's a great next step. Australia's already a world-leading regulator when it comes to this space. But we also have, of course, the anti-trolling legislation. That draft bill has been released for discussion, an exposure bill. And yes, these issues will come to the front of the committee's inquiry. And I don't want to preempt the work of the inquiry, but I will say it's going to be a really busy summer because we want to hear from big tech, we want to hear from businesses, we want to hear from mums and dads and people who have had some experiences online that perhaps are experiences that none of us would wish on anyone, about what are some of the ways forward, what are some of the things that are working well, and where are the areas that we perhaps need to address or look into or make some recommendations. And of course, this is due to report by the 15th of February.
The Morrison government that obviously you're part of has been leading the world really in trying to tackle the tech giants and hold them accountable. How cooperative have you found the tech giants when you've been attempting reform in this area?
Well, certainly Australia does have a good track record. Shari, you're absolutely right, since 2015 and then more recently, of course. Look, I'm confident that there will be a way forward to be able to work with tech giants in whatever legislative approach may need to be taken or not. I'm very confident of that. But at the end of the day, I think that all businesses...
So they have been cooperative so far.
Well, we've seen an instance, of course, where there was a threat, and then you know the social media giants were back in again in relation to media. But my interest, and I think the government's interest, is in keeping Australians safe online, and certainly any business seeking to do business in Australia. I would have thought, particularly in 2021, I would have thought their interest would be in keeping their users safe online here in Australia. So this will be one of the topics of inquiry over the coming months, and I will certainly be looking into this as part of the work of the committee.
Okay, well, we will keep updated and hear from you as that develops. Thank you very much for your time, Lucy Wicks, Chair of the inquiry into the tech giants that's just commenced this week.